Good morning, one and all. I am G. Saidulu, lecturer in Mechanical Engineering, QQ Gout Polytechnic, Hyderabad. In this lecture, I want to explain the subject engineering material, and the topic name is mechanical properties of engineering materials. Let us see objectives of this class. Means after end of this class, you should be able to understand the various mechanical properties of engineering materials. Let us see what do you mean by mechanical properties. The characteristics of material that describes the behavior under the action of external loads are referred as mechanical properties. Here, by applying external loads, we are going to finding the behavior of that particular material at various conditions, and by using these external loads we are going to studying the characteristics of that particular material, that is known as mechanical properties. The term property may be defined as the quality and specific characteristics of a material. The study of properties of metal provides a sound basis for predicting its behavior. Here, by studying the property of any material, we are going to uh, finding the behavior of that particular material. Why we are going to finding the mechanical properties? So in order to uh, know the characteristics of the material, a sound knowledge of the properties is very essential for an engineer to select the material for certain application. Let us see some of the mechanical properties: strength, tensile strength, compressive strength, shear strength, stiffness, elasticity, plasticity, ductility, brittleness, malleability, resilience, toughness, hardness, fatigue, creep. These are the different types of mechanical properties which we are going to discussing in this class. Strength. What do you mean by strength? Strength, it is defined as the ability of a material to resist load without fracture. So here strength means when we apply certain amount of load on a particular material, it should withstand that much of load without fracture. It is nothing but strength. It is expressed in terms of maximum load per unit area, that is also called as ultimate strength. So here we can derive the derivation units for strength. It is the ratio between, indirectly it is the ratio between maximum load per unit area. Load per unit area means Newton for meter square or kilonewton for meter square or Newton for mm square. You can take load per unit area units. The strength of the material can change according to the type of load. The strength of that particular material can be changed according to the type of loading. Means loading means whether we are going to applying in axial direction or transverse direction, like that. And next mechanical property is tensile strength. How a tensile strength can be defined? It is defined as the ability of material to resist deformation under tensile load without fracture. Here in a tensile load, we are going to applying load on the material axially to equal and opposite load, opposite directions. So here, even though we are applying that much of load to equal and opposite loads, if the material able to withstand that much of a tensile load, so that material having good tensile strength. So here tensile strength is also called as tenacity. So it can be defined in terms of maximum tensile load by original cross sectional area. Tensile strength is equal to maximum load by original cross sectional area of the specimen. In this diagram we are going to explaining the specimen is loaded between two jaws. Here we are going to applying the tensile load to equal and opposite directions, and you can observe in this specimen the cross sectional area of the specimen W into T. That's why we have taken tensile strength is equal to tensile load, that is nothing but maximum tensile load by original cross sectional area of the specimen. You can observe in this figure clearly. Next one is compressive strength. It is the compressive strength can be defined as the ability of a material to resist compressive loads without fracture. Similar to tensile strength only, here we are going to applying the load on the material towards the material. Two equal and opposite forces are applying on the specimen towards the specimen. That means the material is squeezed in between two loads, so it will be length of the specimen will be get reduced, and width or cross sectional diameter of the specimen will be increased. So here how we are going to writing in terms of maximum compressive load and area. Here compressive strength is equal to maximum compressive load or force by original cross sectional area. In this diagram we can observe clearly how we are going to conducting compression test. So in between two jaws we are going to fixing the specimen in bottom head is fixed head and top head is movable head. In between these two jaws we are going to fixing the specimen. After fixing the specimen we are going to applying the load towards the specimen. Here obviously fixed head is stationary, that means it is a stationary head, only the provision is provided to the mobile head only. When we applied the load on the specimen, that mobile head is moving towards the downward direction and it compress the specimen. After applying maximum load we can remove the specimen and we can find the original cross sectional area after applying the load, and we can divide the maximum load compressive load to cross sectional area. You can find the compressive strength of that particular material. Generally these compression and tension tests are conducted for engineering materials. Here compression tensile strength is conducted for ductile materials. Why? Because tensile ductile materials are uh, more stronger in tension and weaker in compression. In the same way, for compression test we are going to conducting on brittle materials. Why? Because brittle materials are stronger in compression and weaker in tension. That's why we are going to conducting tension test for ductile material and compression test for brittle material. Next mechanical property is shear strength. how we are going to defining the shear strength. Shear strength can be defined as the ability of the material to resist transverse loads without fracture or failure. Here shear strength, how we are going to finding by applying transverse loads. Transverse loads means, so here it is similar to tensile load only, but we are not applying in axial direction. These two, whatever we are going to applying the shear case, so those two forces are collinear. It is apart from some distance, that's why we are calling as transverse loads. By applying the transverse loads, we are going to finding the shear strength. Now we can find the uh, formula for shear strength. Shear strength is equal to maximum shear load by original cross sectional area. Here maximum shear loads, so in shear, while finding the shear strength, we have two types of shear strengths are there: single shear test and double shear test. So find, while conducting the single shear strength, so we have to take a maximum load by single cross sectional area. But in case of double shear strength, uh, we need to consider maximum shear load by two times of original cross sectional areas. Why? Because material will shear on both sides of the specimen. So now let us see what are the units for shear strength. So similar to tensile and compression strengths, units are similar. Here we are going to applying the load per unit area, Newton for mm square or kilonewton for meter square. And in this particular diagram, you can observe both shear and tensile loads. Here these here two plates are assembled by means of nut and bolt. So in this case, on bolt we are going to applying tensile load, and shear load is applied on plates. In both cases, load is applied to equal and opposite directions. As in case of tension test, loads are collinear, action of forces are collinear. Here in case of these shear case, loads are two equal and opposite directions but not collinear. These are separated by some amount of distance. So actually these boiler plates and rivets will be fail due to shear mode. Next mechanical property is stiffness. Stiffness, it is the ability of a material to resist deformation or deflection under load, is called stiffness. It is the ability of a material to resist deformation. So when we apply the load on particular material, it will not get deflected or deformation. So that property is called stiffness. If the material is stiff, means even though we are applying on the load on the material, it should not get deformation or any deflections. If the material follows Hooke's law, it is measured by Young's modulus. Hooke's law means here stress is directly proportional to strain up to proportionality limit, is called Hooke's law. If the material follows Hooke's law, it is measured by module of Young's modulus. In shear, stiffness is measured by modulus of rigidity or rigidity modulus. Next mechanical property is elasticity. How we can define the elasticity? It can be defined as the ability of a material to deform under load and regain its original shape when the load is removed is called elasticity. Here we are going to applying the material load on the material. The material gets plastically material gets deformation takes place, and when we remove that load, material will get its original shape. That means when the load is applied on the material is get deformed, and when after removal of the load, material may gets its original position. That property is called elasticity. The most elastic material, engineering material, is mild steel. For example, spring return to its original shape after removal of load. That means when we applied load on the material, it will be deformed. That maybe when we apply some amount of load on spring material, so it will be get deflected. That means it will be compressed. After removal of that load, it will be gain its original shape. That property is elastic property. Now let us see plasticity. So how plasticity can be defined? It is the ability of a material to undergo some degree of permanent deformation without rupture or fracture. So what does it means? So when we applied the material, when we applied the load on certain material, it will take some degree of deformation, and after removal of that particular load, it will not regain its original position. That means it will gain new shape. Was it what is it means? So here when we applied the load on any particular material, the plastic deformation will be takes place, and after removing that load, it will not regain its original shape. That means it gains one new shape. This type of property is called plasticity. Important in forming, shaping, extruding, and other cold and hot working processes. So here plasticity is we can observe, and it is important mechanical property in forming operations, shaping operations, extruding, and other cold and hot working processes. Ductility. How ductility can be defined? Here it is the ability of a material to be deformed plastically without rupture under tensile load is called ductility. So how we can explain this ductility? It is nothing but it is the ability of a material which undergoes plastical deformation without fracture under the application of tensile load. So when we apply the tensile load on any certain material, it undergoes plastic deformation and withstand the tensile load without fracture. So here when we actually the it enables the materials to draw into thin wires. In order to, because of ductility property only, we are going to uh, draw the very bigger material, very bigger diameter wire into very thin wires by using die and tensile load. Example for uh, ductile materials are mild steel, gold, silver, copper, platinum, etc. The measure of ductility is the percentage of elongation, and a metal with good percentage of elongation is having high ductility. The measure of ductility is we are mentioning in terms of percentage of elongation. So actually if the material is having less than 5 percentage of elongation, it will be treated as brittle material. If the percentage of elongation is lies in the range of 5 to 10%, moderate ductile material. If the percentage of elongation is more than 10%, so those are called most ductile materials. Here percentage of elongation means it is the ratio between change in length by original length. So here into 100. So change in length means uh, original length minus final length minus original length by original length into 100. By calculating, by using this formula, we can calculate the percentage of elongation. In order to confirming the material, whether it is ductile material or moderate ductile or very ductile material, so based on percentage of elongation only we are going to decide. Next mechanical property is brittleness. It can be defined as it is the property of breaking the material without much permanent deformation. So here lack of ductility also called as brittleness. So in case of ductility, so it takes the tensile load and it elongates without fracture. But in case of brittleness, when we applied the tensile load on the material, it fails suddenly without any permanent visible deformation. It material will be broken. This type of property is called brittleness. A non-ductile material is said to be brittle. Example for brittle materials are glass, cast iron, and some ceramics, etc. Malleability. It is the ability, how we are going to defining the malleability. It is the ability of a material deformed plastically without rupture under a compressive load. It is similar to ductility only, but in case of ductility we are going to applying the uh, tensile load, but in case of this malleability, so we are going to applying the compressive load in order to make into thin sheets. In other words, malleability can be defined as ability of a material to flatten into thin sheets under the application of compressive loads. So example, aluminum, copper, tin, lead, steels can be converted into very thin sheets because of its malleability property. That means aluminum, copper, tin, lead, steel materials are malleable materials. These materials can be converted into thin sheets under the application of compressive loads. Here, what is the similarity between ductility and malleability? In ductility, material will be converting into very thin wires under the application of tensile load without fracture. So in case of malleability, So we are going to applying the compressive loads, and we are going to converting the material into very thin sheets under the application of tension compression loads without fracture. The plastic flow of material under compressive load is known as malleability. The material which are highly ductile are also malleable, but reverse may not be true. Here we are going to telling one thing: all ductile materials are malleable, but not all malleable materials. That means all malleable materials may not be ductile materials. That means not vice versa. Next mechanical property is resilience. So here how we are going to defining the resilience: the capacity of material to absorb the energy elastically is called resilience. So here when we applied energy or load on the material, it will absorb continuously within the elastic limit. So that property is called resilience. Here proof resilience is the maximum energy that can be stored in a body up to elastic limit. So it is nothing but when we applied the maximum energy up to elastic limit, it stores that much of energy up to elastic limit. This property is called proof resilience. This quantity gives the capacity of material to bear shocks and vibrations. So here the area under stress strain curve up to elastic limit is known as resilience. So here we can observe the stress strain curve for mild steel and high carbon steel up to elastic limit. Whatever the shaded portion is there, that represents resilience. Here we can observe for high carbon steel and structural steel, whatever the shaded portions are there, that represents the resilience. So resilience, it is nothing but if the material is having resilience means, so it can be able to absorb the applied energy until within the elastic limit. Next property is known as toughness. Measure of the amount of energy material can absorb before actual failure or failure takes place. So it is similar to resilience only. In resilience we are going to discuss that material is absorbing the energy without fracture within the elastic limit. But in case of toughness, we are going to applying the energy on the material. It absorbs the whatever we are going to apply energy until its fracture limit. So whatever the energy applied on the material, it absorbs that much of energy until it fracture. That means, so here whatever the we are going to applying the load, it will absorb until its fracture. This property is called toughness. Ability to withstand both elastic and plastic deformations. Desirable quality of structural and machine parts to withstand shock and vibration. So in order to shock proof and vibration, vibration to resist vibrations. So we are going to using these tough materials. Example: manganese steel, wrought iron, mild steel. Toughness is related to impact strength. This area under the stress strain curve up to fracture is known as toughness. So in this diagram we can observe the stress strain diagram for different materials: high carbon steel, medium carbon steel, and low carbon steels. High carbon steels are strongest materials and when compared to medium and low carbon steel, and the medium carbon steels are toughest and when compared to these two, and low carbon steels are most ductile. So why? Because whatever the shaded portions are there, that represents the toughness. So if the high carbon steels are somewhat tough, and these are strongest materials, and it deforms very less when compared to both medium and low carbon steels. So now when we see the medium carbon steels in this stress strain diagram, these are tough material, and plastic deformation will be takes place, and whatever the shaded portion until its fracture, that represents the tough material. So here low carbon steels are most ductile materials. Why? Because so it undergoes plastic deformation without rupture. So you can observe this in stress strain diagram. Even though we are applying uh, less amount of force on the material, deformation will be very large. And hardness can be defined as the ability of a material to resist scratching, abrasion, cutting, indentation, or penetration. Here hard materials, uh, when we apply any loads on the material, it resists to scratching, abrasion, cutting, indentation, or penetration. Hard materials are difficult to machining, and hardness can be measured by using different types of equipments: Brinell hardness equipment, Rockwell hardness tester, and Wicker hardness testers. By using these three, we can find the hardness of particular material. Hardness is a desired property for cutting tools and ball bearings. Creep. It is defined as slow and progressive deformation of material with time at constant stress. Creep phenomenon is high at elevated temperature. So here creep means we are going to applying load at uh, certain temperature at constant stress. At higher temperature, due to prolonged loading, the material may undergo permanent deformation below the elastic due to its creep. Next mechanical property is fatigue. Fatigue determines the behavior of material when subjected to thousands of cyclic loads. Failure of material under repeated and reversal loads is called fatigue. Failure of material far below its ultimate strength due to fatigue. So here fatigue means failure of material under repeated and reversal loads or cyclic loads. So when the material may get failed due to cyclic loads or repeated or reversal loads, that type of mechanical property is called fatigue. Now let us see what do you mean by endurance limit. The maximum stress at which the material operate indefinitely without failure is fatigue limit at endurance limit. Now let us see technological properties. The quality of metal inform the suitable for various manufacturing and technical processes are called technological properties. The various technological properties are machinability, weldability, formability, castability, hardenability, strain hardening. Now let us see what do you mean by machinability. The property of material which indicates the case which it can be cut or removed by cutting tools. It depends on mechanical and physical properties of material. Machinability means so by using cutting tool we can able to cut some amount of material. The structure of material composition cutting parameters also influence the machinability. Material process machinability will improve surface finish and tool life. The machinability of material is good, it gives good surface finish and it improves tool life also, it saves tool life also. Next technological property is weldability. Weldability, it is the ability of a material to be joined by welding is known as a weldability. That means so it is the technological property, so we can able to join two materials is known as weldability. Ease with which a metal can be welded. Material possesses weldability can provide stronger and longer life joints. Now let us see formability. The property of a material which indicates the case with which it can be formed into different shapes. That means so by using this raw material we can convert into different shapes and sizes. So if we are going to converting into different shapes and sizes means the formability of that particular material is good. It indicates it is desirable characteristics in various forming operations such as cold working and hot working, etc. So here cold working means we are going to performing the operations at room temperature, that is nothing but below the recrystallization temperature. And what do you mean by hot working? Hot working means so we are going to performing operations above recrystallization temperature. So at that temperature, so plastic deformation will be takes place so that we can convert that material into different various required shapes. What is the difference between cold working and hot working means? Cold working means we are going to performing the operation at room temperature or below its recrystallization temperature. Hot working means performing the operations on the material above recrystallization temperature. In cold working, will get good surface finish, and in case of hot working, so we can't able to get good surface finish. But in cold working, some residual stresses will be formed within the material, and in case of hot working, so residual stresses will be eliminated because we are going to performing the various types of mechanical properties, mechanical operations at elevated temperatures. It is nothing but above recrystallization temperature. Now let us see what do you mean by castability. It is the ability of a material to cast into different shapes is known as castability. That means so if the castability is good for a particular material, so that we can uh, cast into different shapes by pouring mold cavities. Example: cast iron, zinc based alloys, lead based alloys exhibits good castability. Now let us see hardenability. It is defined as the ability of the material get hardened easily, and in other words it is defined as the sensibility to hardening by quenching. Hardenability is indicated by greater depth of hardening below the surface. It is if the hardenability of a particular material is good means, so it will be easily get hardened, and it indicates the greater depth of hardening below the surfaces means, so if the from the surface, so greater the depth of hardening is more, so hardenability of the material will be said as more. Strain hardening: the strengthening effect produced in metals by plastic deformation, that is cold working, is known as strain hardening of, of work hardening or work hardening. So here metals by plastic deformation, we are going to strengthening. This phenomenon is strain hardening. Now let us see summary of this class. We have discussed about the observable characteristics of material called properties. The characteristics of materials under influence of external loads, that is nothing but mechanical properties. The property which indicates the suitability for manufacturing processes and technological properties. Now let us see some questions. Here, first question: what are the mechanical properties of a material? Name the various mechanical properties of metals. Define elasticity, hardness, fatigue, creep. So should able to answer these questions after listening this class. Now let us see some multiple choice questions. Which of the following is a brittle material? Option A copper, option B mild steel, option C glass, option D gold. Brittle material. Brittle material, glass. Answer is glass. And second question: which of the following is harder material? Option A diamond, option B silver, option C aluminum. The answer is option A diamond. Which of the following experience fatigue property? Option A rails, option B connecting rod, option C springs, option D all of the above. The answer is D, option D, all of the above. Last question: which of the following is technological property? Option A machinability, option B weldability, option C castability, option D all. Answer is all. All machinability, weldability, formability, castability, all are technological properties of materials. Now let us see frequently asked questions. First question: list out the different properties. It is nothing but different mechanical properties. And second question: define tensile strength, compressive strength, and shear strength. And last question is define technological properties of materials. So I hope you understood well. Thank you.